This is my level 1
Yes,
high
yes,
power
yes.
rocket. It's the biggest and fastest rocket I have ever built. But getting it up is the easy part. The real challenge in earning your certification is getting it
Oh.
back in one piece. My name is Sydney Chukwukamadueke. I was repeatedly rejected from my school's 2 rocketry clubs, and I've been rejected from every space company I've applied to. I know, not the sexiest intro, but that's why this launch means so much to me. If I can launch this rocket and bring it back in one piece, then I can take one small step towards proving to myself that if I want a career in rocketry, I don't need to wait for a club or SpaceX to choose me. I just got to choose myself. I knew it would be a lot more challenging than the small Estes rocket I previously built, but it ended up being a bit harder than I thought. And as most people who build rockets can attest to, a lot of things didn't go as planned.
But alas, it wasn't strong enough, and we had to just scrub the launch.
For those that don't know, within the US, there are 3 levels of certification amateur rocketeers can get: level 1, level 2, and level 3. A level 1 certification, which I was going for, would allow me to fly motors up to the H and I class. Level 2 would enable you to fly motors of the J, K, and L class. And level 3 would allow you to fly motors of the M, N, and O class. With each ladder jump, the motor's total impulse essentially doubles. You can think of total impulse as the amount of gas in a car. A car with more gas can go further than a car with less gas, and in rocketry, a rocket flying under a motor with a higher total impulse can go higher than a rocket flying under a motor with a lower total impulse, generally speaking. So you can see how it gets crazy kind of fast, which is why the certifications are in place. As I wanted this endeavor to go as smoothly as possible, I decided that I would choose a kit that, would be fairly challenging, but has also been used by others to obtain their certification, as I figured this would grant me more peace of mind and increase my chances of getting it back. So the kit I ended up going with was the Lock 4, a 4-inch diameter cardboard rocket that I got from Apogee Components. I'd fly it on an H100 motor, 100 meaning average thrust, and it's loved because it's relatively simple to build and it flies low and slow. What this essentially means is that it won't go out of sight and that you should be able to get it back. So, was it easy to build? Yes and no. In retrospect, this rocket could honestly be built in a day or honestly a couple of hours. However, it took me well over a month. Why? Well, a couple of reasons. At the time, I traveled for work, so I could only work on the weekends, which is still cool, right? It only takes a day or so to build. Well, the kit from Apogee came fast enough, but all the other materials, the glue, the sanding paper, the paint, etc., those kept getting sent by Amazon to Tennessee. I live in Texas. And honestly, if you want to do something like this, just go to your local hardware store, supply shop, and get it there. You probably won't have the same issues that I had with Amazon, but it is the fastest way to get your materials. As if that wasn't enough, when I started to build, I realized a key component, the motor tube, was likely accidentally thrown out because it kind of looks like an empty paper towel tube. Luckily, I was working in Colorado at the time, so the next time I flew out there, I just drove down to Apogee Components headquarters and picked one up from them. Really nice people, by the way. If you are ever in the area, please go check them out. The last reason it took me a long time to build was that once I started building, it became clear that there was a noticeable skill gap. For example, I struggled with applying the epoxy as it just wouldn't lay down like I wanted, especially around the fins, which, spoiler alert, became kind of problematic later on. And then to add insult to injury, or injury to insult, I cut myself kind of bad. Boy Scout 101, cut away from yourself. That's why I never made Eagle Scout. But in the end, it did get built. The last thing was to paint it and make it look pretty. I painted it green, white, green for Nigeria, as I'm Nigerian American, and I wanted to pay homage to my roots and inspire others, since I don't really see a lot of people like me building rockets. I tried to cover up the tube ring so it'd look a bit more smooth, but it kind of worked, kind of didn't. I don't know. It looked good enough though. And then lastly, I added stickers for both countries as well as my logo, Vi, the smiling eye. It's inspired from the smiling eyes often seen in anime, which is something I love dearly. If you know, you know. There are a couple of last second issues that I had to address literally the night before launch day, which seems to be a rite of passage for people in this hobby.
Oh, that was a loud pop. Oh. Oh no.
I smell something hot.
I smell it too.
Me too.
I burned it. Ava?
So there are a few housekeeping things I needed to remember, like one, weighing the rocket, and then also checking Open Rocket and get some key information from it, like the center of gravity and center of pressure, what was the optimal time for the parachute to deploy, how high it would go, as well as one more thing here I should have taken note of but didn't. And again, spoiler alert, it would come to bite me the next day. Now, full transparency, all of this should have been done much, much earlier, but I digress. Beyond that, it turned out the stickers that I put on can just come off. So I had to spray on a special clear coating on it to help keep it on. I also realized that my nose cone fit was way too tight. A slight shake should be all that's needed to separate the nose cone from the body, and mine was not doing that. So I sanded it like hell for a long time to get it down, as you can see from my pants, and eventually I got it coming off easily enough that I was satisfied. And then I prepped the parachute because I didn't do that before. I made sure to only wrap it 3 times and spaced it apart as I did so that it would unravel. All this was to ensure that it would come back. I put a lot of work into it at this point, and it was really beginning to dawn on me that if things went wrong the next day, I might never see it again, and that would suck. Soon dawn broke on the big day. It had finally come. Would I take that step forward, or would I fail and send my self-esteem even lower? It was time to find out. Soon after I got there, people were launching their rockets. It was kind of crazy how loud they sound. I've always heard them from screens, but this was my first time hearing them in person, and dude, they were so loud. But it quickly became addicting. As I prepared myself to get going, though, it must have been clear that I was pretty nervous because some people came along to help, which is where I met my first hero of the day, Giselle. So as he helped me prepare for the launch, he asked me a key question. What was my stability? I remembered it being about 0.71, and as it turns out, that's a big issue. You see, a rocket needs a stability of about 1 in order to be stable in flight. A stability of 0.71 is not enough in most cases. If you launch with this, it'll be unstable in flight and could flip and destroy itself. So to get it up, you need to bring the center of gravity further up from the center of pressure. It was nearing the afternoon time, though, and the wind was picking up, increasing the chances of a rocket drifting further away even if it did launch. So we had to figure out something really quick. So strike 2 for me was I didn't bring my computer, so I didn't know how much I would have to add to bring the stability up past 1. But Giselle did, and I was able to pull up the same file for my rocket, and together we figured out how much weight we needed to increase it by. After theorizing for a bit, we came up with a pretty janky solution. He had a bunch of spare nuts and bolts, and we kind of finagled together a solution in the payload section of the rocket. I'm gonna be honest, it looked kind of sus, but according to the simulation, it would work. So, with my confidence slightly shaken, I went up to the launch pad with my second hero of the day, Steven. Now, Steven's an expert rocketeer. This was not his first rodeo, but he could tell it was mine, and he wanted to lend a hand and help me out, which was much appreciated. He walked me through the setup of getting everything just right on the pad, and before I knew it, it was time for launch.
Thank you for all your help, man. I appreciate it.
And I didn't know this beforehand, but you have to give your rocket a name before you launch. So I named mine the Golden Dawn. I named it this because if the flight succeeded, it would signify the dawn of everything to come. So would it be a bright dawn or a false one? Would the rocket stay stable? Would the rocket come back? Would it return in one piece? It was time to find out.
We are going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Come back. All right.
It was a picture-perfect launch. I've never seen a rocket fly straighter. I couldn't help but think in that moment, man, what would have happened if I didn't adjust the stability? A version of me in the multiverse has the answer to that, but this version of me was just full of relief.
Let's go.
Keeping an eye on it, I saw that the parachute deployed successfully, and the rocket was on its way back. As great as that felt, as I mentioned before, getting it up is the easy part. It's the coming back intact that's hard. After tracking its descent, I set out to retrieve it. I was congratulated by Giselle and some people that supported me throughout the day. I was relieved that the Golden Dawn had come back to Earth, but I was scared that it wouldn't be in one piece. Maybe it came down too hard. Maybe the stickers fell off mid-flight. Maybe something broke. I worked so hard. All I wanted was for it to come back and to see Vi smiling back at me. The Golden Dawn had come back to Earth. Was it a false dawn? No, it was a golden one. The launch and landing was a complete success. My beautiful rocket had returned in one piece. Vi was smiling back at me, and it was hard to tell who had the bigger smile, me or her. But man, there are no words to describe that moment, other than, I guess, pride and immense relief.
You can fly good.
Plus, a bit of humbleness. The rocket was in one piece, so I knew it would be certified. But as they inspected it, they called out the fillets, and I realized I'd actually gotten pretty lucky. My fins needed much better fillets to improve their ability on landing. They seemed kind of surprised, honestly, that it didn't snap, and if it had, I wouldn't have been certified. Also, it wasn't lost to me that if I hadn't made that stability adjustment, I probably would have lost the rocket. I needed to be more thorough in building and with my pre-checks. This same issue led me to nearly losing my taser rocket the first time I launched it. It nearly led me to losing this rocket, and my failure to internalize it would actually lead to disaster soon after. You see, with my level 1 certification now attained, I decided I'd take a victory lap and launch my small Estes rocket, this time with a C motor, since I previously only launched it with a B since my home launch field wasn't big enough. Earlier on, I realized that the motor casing was kind of loose and needed more superglue to keep it in place. I did not remember to apply superglue before launching it. And as a result, when the ejection charge fired, it shot the motor casing out the back of the rocket instead of sending the parachute out the front. So now, I have a finless rocket to remind myself of the consequences of not being thorough in building and being careless with pre-checks. So I built a rocket, got it back, and was able to take a small step towards proving to myself that I can be an aerospace engineer and build rockets. There are obviously some things I can improve on, like properly securing the fins, checking stability beforehand, being more diligent with my pre-flight checklists, building smarter so I can build faster, and of course building safer so I don't cut myself. But ultimately I proved that in choosing myself I could achieve things I didn't believe I could. Some may say, hey, it was just a kit build, it's nothing special, and there's some truth in that, I know. But this is what I could do for now. A small step. And now that I have more confidence in my abilities, I've begun my next step. A bit of a leap, but for my next project, I've decided I'm going to build a guided ascent rocket, BPS style. It's an order of magnitude harder than what I just did, and I'll have to be a lot more careful, but I believe I can do it. So follow along to see me get it done, and check out this video when it drops to see my plan for getting it done. We're all gonna make it, aren't we, Vi? I'll see you in the next one. Peace.